Should you sell your ETH for Solana? It certainly sounds like a controversial question, but more and more people are doing it. That is the reality. There's currently a serious outflow of ETH, and that's despite all the positive news we had recently with the Ethereum ETFs. And it shows in the numbers because the Sol ETH chart is up 380%, and even ETH BTC is down 50% in the last 2 years. A big part of this is that many Ethereum users are migrating to L2s. Ethereum is also inflationary again. Ether, in a nutshell, has been underwhelming as of late. We're going to try to analyze it and get to the bottom of what's really going on with this once stupendous altcoin, and ask that controversial question: is it worth selling off your ETH and picking up Sol? Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie, and this is Altcoin Buzz. All the best of luck. If you choose to invest, I wish you very, very well. Just remember that I'm not a financial or investment advisor, which means, of course, this video is not official financial or investment advice. What is going on with Ethereum? Because something seems to be up. We just went over some rather telling statistics. Ethereum has a couple of things going on that really have led to some serious discussions that people have been having. That's something to pay attention to. Let's take a look at what those discussions are and frame this contextually. I mentioned the inflationary aspect. ETH is now an inflationary asset. It recently became inflationary again. As you probably know, it was deflationary for a few quarters, but not anymore. Q2 of 2024 saw the highest quarterly inflation rate since Ethereum upgraded to proof of stake. Remember the merge? That was back in September of 2022. And so Ethereum mints more ETH than it burns. As of today, that's around 75,000 ETH per quarter. And Ethereum burns less due to its slower gas fees. Current gas fees are around 1 gwei. For Ethereum, that's actually low. And while we're on the subject of gas fees, they are currently low on Ethereum, at least according to ETH standards, right? However, that shouldn't take the fact away that there are plenty of cheaper chains out there. The alternatives are just less expensive. One of those alternatives obviously is Solana, but there are plenty of others that are also fast and cheap L1s. We have, for example, Sui, Near, Tron, BNB, and that's not to mention a whole basket of L2s out there. I personally still avoid Ethereum at almost any cost. Because, why would you pay $1, $2, $3 or more per transaction when you can pay less than a cent? That is the alternative. It exists. And in the context of staking, there was always a looming concern that Lido would reach the 33% threshold of staked ETH. This threshold, by the way, of 33% is just when an attacker can prevent the chain from finalizing. Well, the good news is that Lido's staked ETH has grown in absolute terms. However, its liquid staking market now has decreased. It's gone from 31.7% in January to now 28.4% currently. And really that's due to competition from platforms like Ether.fi and also Renzo, because they have a combined share of 7% currently. And considering that they weren't even around in January of this year, 2024, 7% is very impressive. Currently, the Nakamoto coefficient for Ethereum is 2, and that's due to Lido's size, right? The higher this coefficient is, the more decentralized a network is, or a project is. If it was 1, for example, then Lido would have 33% of the staking share all by itself. So 2 is not as bad as it gets, but 2 as a Nakamoto coefficient score is not very good. The Ethereum Foundation recently found itself in the line of fire as well. It sent $100 million worth of ETH to the Kraken exchange for sale. That's 35,000 Ether at current rates. However, there was no prior community notice. And to add fuel to this fire, it also seems that the foundation has had this as a yearly budget. Aya Miyaguchi, a foundation member, mentioned this in an X post. And so really, we just need to be reminded that there is an infinite total supply of ETH. Even though they haven't resorted to a ton of issuance, that's always a possibility. They most certainly can. I mentioned the Ethereum spot ETFs earlier. The effect now seems to have worn off. It's certainly lessened, and it seems like the effect is weaker than it should be. And honestly, that's probably due to the potential unlimited supply, because they can now just make more if too many institutions buy it. There won't be a supply shortage on exchanges like there is for Bitcoin. Ethereum right now also has decreased user activity, plus an inflationary economy, and a lot of other issues as well. As a project, I think it's safe to say that it's seen brighter days. But let's evaluate the flip side now and consider Solana. What exactly is happening in the Solana camp? Well, one big upset was that the CBOE withdrew the filing for a Solana spot ETF. This was only a few days ago. We had a dedicated video on this topic, by the way. Check this one out if you haven't already. And my big question was, is the Solana bull run canceled without this spot ETF support? Check out the video for a more nuanced discussion, but the short answer is no. And that's just because there are plenty of other positive things happening with Solana. As a project, they have many, many other variables working in their favor. And so not having an immediate spot ETF for Solana is going to have an impact. It's a negative, to be sure, but it's going to have a smaller effect on the rally than some of the naysayers may think. I was actually already skeptical about this potential Solana spot ETF anyway. Sol doesn't have a futures contract for one thing in the US, and institutions prefer this tool for hedging their capital. There's also the fact that Solana has had a reputation for their chain halting completely. If we take a look at Solana's downtime during 2021 and 2022, Solana certainly had plenty of it. January 2022 in particular was bad. However, really since November 2022, they were only out a couple of times, 2 outages, one in February 2023 and one in February 2024, a year later. So certainly they've come around, at least on this point. It seems like the Solana developers have really gotten a grip on this particular issue. And whatever you may think of meme coins, Solana is certainly doing really well in this space, and it's growing its ecosystem. Back in December of 2022, Bonk launched. That's B-O-N-K. And that's when Sol hit its lows of $8 or $9. Bonk is actually still going strong and is one of the key factors in terms of contributing to Solana's momentous comeback. Solana meme coins have a combined market cap of about $6 billion, which is almost 10% of Solana's market cap. As I record, that number stands at 67.9, nearly $68 billion. So we're talking about, in terms of the meme coin ecosystem, nearly 10% of that very healthy market cap. Solana is also working on becoming more decentralized. Its Fire Dancer upgrade will further enhance this. In contrast to Ethereum's Nakamoto coefficient of 2, Solana as a project stands at 18. In other words, Solana is much more decentralized, and this should even get better with time. That's because validator control is spread out more evenly across more validators, meaning less centralized control. So it seems that, at least currently, Solana is having much better of a time in crypto as a project fundamentally than is Ethereum in this market.
And so if this market pulls back hard under this level and then consolidates and comes back, we're likely to sell and stall.
Let's get down to the question now. Should you sell your ETH for Sol? Let's not forget that Ethereum is still a solid and strong project. It still has a strong foothold in DeFi, of course, and the L2s play a crucial role here. Ethereum also still has the first mover advantage. And that's very important because with that strong community, they've weathered multiple storms. This is not something that you can replace quickly or easily or build out overnight. But still, Ethereum, by the numbers, does seem to be losing ground. It's not necessarily one chain that is the Ethereum killer, so to speak. Instead, many fast and cheap L1 alternatives are slowly gnawing away at Ethereum's foundation. There's this slow motion erosion effect almost collectively. And Solana may well be the leader of that pack, of that group of competitors. We're also seeing more and more ETH bridged from Ethereum to Solana. There's less going in the reverse direction. And this has been going on now for several months. In the last 3 months, for example, $258 billion went from Ethereum to Solana. $189 billion went in the other direction, so there's a clear mismatch there. And we're seeing the same thing happen between L2s and Solana. Layer 2s bridge more to Solana than in reverse. So, in terms of my opinion, should you sell your ETH and buy more Sol? Well, look, certainly not all your ETH, but to tell you the truth, yeah, selling some and getting a little bit of Sol instead seems like a good move right now. Not financial advice, of course, but that's kind of what I'd be doing at the moment. Let me know your thoughts about this. Maybe you disagree completely. Maybe I've misread the situation, but going by the metrics and looking at these stats as we have, that is my conclusion, unavoidably.